Hi, my name's Mike, and as you can see we've had a bit of a move around this week, a reorganisation. Most of this week has been spent on the allotment harvesting. Two major events. One is that I've harvested the onions and the other pulled all the beetroot, taken them out, assessed the results. And that's what's been taking the time with this upload, because I've been trying to match the narration with what I'm showing you, and you shouldn't do that. It should be the other way. The narration should be said and the video should illustrate the narration. I think I've solved it. I've learnt some new methods of using Keynote, or if you ain't got Keynote, it's PowerPoint. And I wish I knew this information when I was doing my MBA in the 90s. Okay, let's get on with it. As I said, most of this week's video is harvesting. So I'll quickly get into the harvesting, starting with my favourite vegetable, the dwarf French runner beans. I do like the French runner beans. I started with those and then we'll go on and end up with the beetroot. Catch you later. This week's video has taken a little bit longer than usual to produce, as it contains my harvest of beetroot. And it is essential I study the information recorded and give a fair and unbiased account of the stats. Therefore I will quickly demonstrate this week's harvest and lead on into my conclusions over the results of the beetroot harvest and to whether or not using F.N.J actually works. The other main harvest is that of the onions, and while the sun is shining I lifted the bulbs out of the soil and laid them down to dry. At the end of the day, the onions were bagged and taken home to dry out thoroughly in my garage. I completed the reveal of the remaining potatoes, which I was satisfied with. Better than last year's harvest, and they were all clean and free from scab. The woodlice had a safe haven in the compost, doing no harm, clearing away waste material, as is their wont, and safe from their many predatory enemies. They do have a hard life. Total harvest being 2 sacks of potatoes weighing in at 16 kilos. Like the French beans, the curly kale are producing a regular harvest, which I enjoy most when steamed and ready for eating. I also found time to start clearing the broad beans, and if you recall, my efforts were to provide a succession. First pickings were the 23rd of June and the last ones, well, there's still some available, but I'll say till the end of July, which is 6 weeks. This is this week's harvest, with the exception of the harvesting of beetroot. It was noted during last week's inspection that the beetroot should have been harvested. We enjoy our beetroot, and last year I endeavoured to produce a succession of beetroot, which to some extent was 2 were selected, and all my beds are 12 foot long by 4 foot wide. And this is my sowing plan. Dates selected at 20-day intervals from the 11th of March 2020. This is the last harvest from bed 2 on the 3rd of January 2021. Plenty left, but unfortunately they were very woody and not much flavour. The intention this year was to follow the same pattern, and to avoid the glut at the end of the year, the plan was to box about 40 beetroot to tide us over during that period between January and March in damp sand. Because of the repairs resulting from the storms in January, plumbing problem which I had to be solved at home, plus the illness which we still have to contend with, a follow-up on last year's success went onto the back burner. But then I could sow some beetroot at home, plus the added interest in making and testing fermented nettle juice. Oh dear, we experienced another storm. This time it took out my mini greenhouse, tearing the cover to shreds and distributing all my seedlings asunder to the 4 corners of the garden. All is not lost. My regular subscribers know I have successfully sown 48 beetroot, divided them into 2 sections, treated half with F.N.J and compared their progress against the control subjects. And this week is the moment of truth. Does the F.N.J work? Is it any good? Again, my regular subscribers know that I've recorded the growth rate of the leaf.
12, 120 by 60, 120 by 70, 120.
The F.N.J plants produced 7% more green leaf than the control plants. But 3 plants in the untreated row were larger and had produced more leaf than the treated. No idea what caused this phenomenon, and would not be surprised if this abnormality has continued into this harvest, and the plants shown here are the proof of the occurrence of the plants weighing in at 238 grams above the F.N.J treated plants. This information of 6 plants, 3 F.N.J treated and 3 selected non-treated, was added to the spreadsheet. The F.N.J plants were taken straight from the line in order, i.e. 23, 22 and 21. In helping to give this a clearer picture, I also transferred this information to Keynote to demonstrate the anomaly with 3 untreated plants. The question is, will this anomaly distort the statistics? That is not the right question, as it could be something in the ground, and for that I should have to do a soil test and also a pH test. But the question could be, is it a mutation? Something a nursery person would grow to seed and establish a new strain of a larger beetroot. But it would have grown larger anyway. And if it had been in the F.N.J tray, would all the kudos go to the nettle fermentation? But if it had been in the F.N.J tray, would it not be even larger? Only one action to take. The next dry day, harvest and record all of the beetroot. Eaten by slugs, which turned out to be the 31st of July, the last day of the month. This being a long task to complete, accuracy being the watchword, I made myself comfortable, sat down and commenced harvesting, inspecting, weighing and recording the results. Sound. Okay, that's the F.N.J side sorted. We'll now go to the other side of the bed and record the untreated.
Number 1, 12 grams.
On this side had been recorded, we then went back, collected all the harvested beetroot, separated those that were damaged with slugs and took them home. The information was taken home for entering onto the spreadsheet. The information was added to the spreadsheet produced to record the leaf growth, and the spreadsheet did its job, calculated the total weight in grams, averaged the 2 subjects and gave me the percentage difference. Let's now look at the data and try to interpret the evidence. And to assist me, I'm now switching to Keynote, or if you've not got it, PowerPoint. This is the spreadsheet added into Keynote for adding narration. Never done this before, should have, as I'm having difficulty fitting in the narration to the visual. Should be the other way around, i.e. demonstrating the narration by visual. Okay? First thing I notice is I have recorded more plants than I have planted. And we can see that there's 23 plants originally, and we now have 26. Beetroot seeds are not a single seed, but a cluster of seed. The overgrown plants here. But look, over there. What we have are 3 more large plants, and on the same strata as the others. And that gives us the conclusion, no adjustment to be made for the 3 oversized control plants, and for this season at least, accept nettle fermented juice improved the well-being and harvest of the beetroot by 7.43%. How about that then? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I've certainly learnt something. I have a bit more to go, but at least I've learnt something, and I'm now in the right direction with doing narration on Keynote. So I'll just say, if you like the video, a thumbs up will be appreciated. Please comment, let me know what you think about the beetroot and the assessments at the end. Did you come to the same conclusion, or do you agree with me? And we'll see what happens, God willing, on the next season, next year. But what I've got to be doing next week is I've got to get that beetroot into a sandbox to preserve it. Okay, so if you've not already done so, please subscribe, and then if you want further notifications, press the bell icon, which just leaves me to say is take care of yourself, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. So for now, bye. Before I go, I have to show you what I was doing a couple of weeks ago with the Enviro. Remember this? Well, what I was doing, I was getting rid of butterflies, demonstrating how B-roll shows you what I am seeing.